Hey folks, welcome to the Eldon Crest 39 info session. Happy New Year. I know most of you, or many of you, are starting to put together your race plans and have been wondering why the course hasn't been posted and why the runner guide hasn't been introduced yet for 2025. Well, we've been working on changes to the course for this distance and the other distances of the Cocodona races. With the Forest Service, we've been working on all the nitty-gritty details, and now it is unveiled. So the formerly Eldon Crest 38-mile distance, the first year was Eldon Crest 36-mile distance, has finally found a new home at the 39-mile distance. So congrats, you get to do the extra mile. And we will be adjusting the name from Eldon Crest to a more suitable name because we don't get to go up and over Eldon anymore. But we didn't either last year. We went around the base. That was a last minute change because the Forest Service was working with us on changes to the course as we have this year. So this episode, I want to go through all of those changes to the course and tell you about what an amazing course we've landed on for this year. Last year, I feel like we just kind of had to, at the last minute, put together a course that made the quote-unquote Eldon Crest race. Now we've ended up with a really amazing tour of the single tracks of Flagstaff. So the name, yet we're not sure exactly what it'll be, but it'll be coming out soon. But the distance of this Cocodona race is 39 miles. So the reason we've had to make all these changes is because there are a number of biological concern areas along the entire Cocodona course. For this course in particular, there's one species this time of year that could be impacted by our race, and that is the Mexican spotted owl. So numerous places along the course, the old course where we encountered Mexican spotted owl nesting sites. So you'll see on the left, this is the mating pair of Mexican spotted owls. On the right, you'll see their fledglings. The fledglings hatch in late April, early May, so right when we're coming through with the race. So we really need to have as minimal impact on this endangered species as we can. We worked with the Forest Service to identify each and every nest site along the entire 250-mile course, as well as the 39-mile distance course, and we've made changes so that we stay as far away from these nest sites as we can. Fortunately, has made the new 39-mile distance pretty amazing. So with that said, let's get into what that new distance is, what the route is. So still have the start and the finish, the same places. Fort Tuthill is the start for the 39-mile distance. We used to go out this way towards Walnut Canyon and then do a loop around and climb up and over Eldon to drop down into Heritage Square. Last year, the course ended up being cut up a little bit to stay away from those nesting pairs of Mexican spotted owls. So we stayed away from the rim of Walnut Canyon and kind of like skirted the outskirts on some like urban trails before we joined back up and then ran around the base of Mount Eldon before dropping into downtown. It was a pretty good course last year. This year, it's an awesome course. So let me go through what it's going to be. So you start at Fort Tuthill. You start with on the same route as the 250-mile distance. So you leave on Soldier Trail, jump underneath the underpass, and then head out by the airport. This is all like wide cinder path trails through the pines. This is really cool section of trail here. We cross Lake Mary Road and then join on to the trails headed into Walnut Canyon. So these trails are really awesome, great Flagstaff single track trails. This is where we depart from the 250-mile course. The 39-mile distance is going to split off to the left, to the north, to head over to the first aid station, the bow and arrow aid station. So that is at mile 8.6, your first aid station. Another thing that we've focused on this year for the 39-mile distance, we did get feedback last year that we weren't providing as much aid as a 38, 39-mile race deserves. In my mind, I was always like, yeah, it's a 38, 39-mile race. Like, it's a little distance, but it's hard when you're putting on a 250-mile race to realize that, no, wait, this is an ultra distance race, Steve. So now I've wrapped my head around, like, you guys are out there doing an ultra distance race. I'm going to make sure I deliver the best possible experience for you guys, which is adding aid stations, and also stoked with all the single track you guys have as well. So anyways, that first aid station is the bow and arrow aid station at mile 8.6. And then you head back on the bow and arrow trail. It's such a cool trail. You're in this little, like, draw through the Ponderosa Pines, heading back away from Walnut Canyon and back into town. Great section of single track there. Jump across the road and then head into, this is a section of headed through town. So you're like, jump onto a paved road here, or sidewalk, and then more sidewalk to cross under the kind of the main interchange of Flagstaff before, you head back out away and kind of onto the forest. These are some single track trails headed back towards Fort Tuthill. Sinclair Wash Trail through here leads you into your technically back into Fort Tuthill County Park. You're just on the north end of the county park there. Sinclair Wash is the aid station that's at mile 14, and this is where you join with the 125-mile distance. So you're going to be on with the 250 milers for about 5 or 6 miles, leaving Fort Tuthill. Then at mile 14, you jump in with the 125 milers. The 125 milers have started in Jerome, and then they pass through Fort Tuthill and come right up to, don't hit the Sinclair Wash aid station, but hit right up next to it and then join on to your same course and all the way to the finish line. So from there, from the Sinclair Wash aid station, you jump onto a couple of the trails of Fort Tuthill County Park. You're on the Bridge Trail and the Soldier Trail. These are all really interesting, technical, that like chunky volcanic rock Flagstaff technical trails. Really cool trails, but they are twisty and turny and technical trails. You get a little bit of respite when you jump onto Forest Service roads headed west out of town towards Rogers Lake. You can open up your legs a little bit through here before you get back onto some of the best single track Flagstaff has to offer. This is the Rogers Lake Connector Trail System. It again is just classic chunky Flagstaff single track, and it's alternating between chunky and really nice pine bed, soft, awesome single track. So you guys divert a little bit right here with the 125 milers. The 125 milers don't hit mile 22.8. Your mile 22.8 Woody Mountain aid station. You guys do hit that aid station at mile 22.8. And then back onto some great single track, climbing out of the Woody Mountain area and into kind of the west side of Flagstaff. Hit a power line connector, single track trail, and then jump into a neighborhood right here just to get through kind of the west side of Flagstaff. So, this short little area, you are running through pavement. So you're on sidewalks through here onto the Foots Trail to cross underneath the interstate, back onto some sidewalks, and we hit the ADOT trail, the ADOT aid station, which to me, I'm so tickled that we get an aid station. That's the ADOT aid station. That's the ADOT Flagstaff office. I've been working with them for years on this race for mainly places where we cross under interstates and highways via underpasses and culverts. And now we get to stick them with an aid station. I love that. And to you, you're probably like, it's a aid station. And to me, I'm like, it's ADOT aid station. Isn't that funny? probably not. Anyway, so yeah, after we leave ADOT aid station, we're back onto some surface sidewalks, and then you cross under the BNSF Railroad, which is a classic Flagstaff railroad running right through the center of town. And you guys get to cross underneath the trestle bridge here and leave town and back into the forest. So this is Mars Hill, or otherwise known as Observatory Mesa. The Lowell Observatory is up here. You'll go right by it. But these single track trails through here are really great single tracks. They're the surface is really nice. For the most part, they're really buffed out trails. You're right up along the edge of this draw in here, and you feel like you're really tucked away in the forest. Some great classic Flagstaff single track. As you bend around the corner to make that last little climb up towards the Lowell Observatory, you get some great views looking west and northwest out of Flagstaff towards the cinder cones that were left over from the volcanic eruptions 1,000 years ago, which some cool views. And then as you kind of turn the corner and go around the north side of the Lowell Observatory, you get some great views over to Eldon. And I bet at that point you're like, you know what? Mars Hill is really cool. I'm glad we're not going over to Mount Eldon, but it's a really beautiful view. But it is a bummer that we don't get to go up and over Eldon for this race. But I think you're going to be stoked with all of the amazing single track this course now has to offer. And then as you make that kind of the final turn to come around the corner just up above the Thorpe Park, you have some spectacular views of the San Francisco peaks. Probably that time of year will be still covered with snow, and just really beautiful views. As you drop down off of Mars Hill, this is great single track leading you all the way into town. Observatory Mesa is the trail that takes you down into town, back on the Foots Trail, which is, by the way, when I mentioned the Foots Trail, it's the Flagstaff Urban Trail System. It's a great system of urban trails that Flagstaff has created. Such a cool town with so many great trails. You guys get this great tour of them. This section is the Karen Cooper Trail. It's an urban trail that travels along Rio de Flag. It is through kind of the urban area of Northwest Flagstaff, but you kind of don't feel like it at all. You're right along the draw of Rio de Flag, tucked kind of in the draw, and don't see all these homes through here. It's a really cool trail system, and every once in a while pop out and cross an intersection, all the way through until you get right into downtown, jump onto Cherry Street, and then make a turn so that you can make your last left onto Birch, which has become a famous part of the Coconut races, right before you finish in downtown Flagstaff at Heritage Square with all the other race distances. So again, thanks for bearing with us through the wait that we had to finalize the details of this course. We are super stoked how this course turned out. Like I said, 39 miles, so you get a bonus mile from what you signed up for, and we're sure happy with how it all turned out. But we hope you will be too. We'll have many of these info sessions coming out through the next 4 months leading into the race with kind of information about the race, information how to prepare for a race of this distance if you're new to it. One thing that I love about this distance and this course in particular are the super generous cutoff times. They're really based more off of the 250-mile distance than they would be for a 39-mile race. So if you're hiking an ultra for your first time and that's your entryway into this sport, this race is a great place for it. So I'm stoked. How many times have I said stoked in this info session? I don't know, but if you can't tell, I'm stoked. Anyways, I'll quit my blabbering, but thank you so much for joining us. Tune in for later info sessions, and we can't wait to see you in May. Take care.